Okay. Cousins got a mid-foot sprain. They feel like it's mild right now, so that's a good sign. Cofield had a bone in his right hand. It was a little fracture in his right hand. He should be okay, but he'll have to have a cast on. Keelan Williams had a left knee strain. Chris Thompson, left shoulder strain. Aldrick Robinson had a thigh bruise, and Hankerson had a knee bruise. So those are some of the injuries today. I did talk with Dr. Andrews before the game. He feels great about Robert's progress. He really feels the same way as did before camp. With practice, feels good about him practicing. Didn't feel like we should put him in any games. He's going to reevaluate him after the Tampa game, and then he'll make a decision, at least from his perspective, where he's at. But like I said, he feels very good where he's at this time, and if there's no setbacks, he thinks he'll be ready. But that's assuming there is no setback here over the next couple of weeks. So, that's a good sign.
Coach, you said about Kirk Cousins, they don't feel it's serious. Is there any way to rule out at this point a Liz Frank type situation? Or
well, I asked the same question. I said, is that a possibility? Because we felt that way last time. We said the x-rays were negative, and it wound up being a Liz Frank. They don't feel that way at this time.
Mike, with Cofield, you said it was a right wrist, right hand?
Yeah. In fact, there's Barry right there. Bear, stick up that hand for everybody, would you? He's okay. He can wave it. So, yeah, you got to put a little cast on it. So, but I'm sure that's not going to keep him out.
And he'll be able to play through it then?
And most guys right now would be in a hospital, intensive care. He's able to talk to you guys, so it gives you an idea how tough he is.
But he figures he can play through it?
Oh, yeah, he'll be able to play through it, sure.
Mike, with Kirk, will there be any follow-up testing on that to explore whether it's Liz Frank or not? Or same scenario as last
time? MRI tomorrow. But at least it was a good sign with the doctors today.
Can you speak to Barry's performance before that injury? It was his debut this preseason, and he dominated early.
Yeah, I just kicked Barry out, so I don't have to brag in front of him. But, no, Barry's been playing great. One of the reasons why he was elected team captain. I was pleased with our defense. Anytime you have 3 turnovers, you have 4 sacks, you hold a football team to 13 points. You got to play good collectively. I thought there was some great effort out there, and by no means was it perfect. Again, too many penalties, a lot of mistakes. We had a chance to evaluate a lot of our personnel. There's going to be some tough decisions to be made.
Mike, I know
the 53 and the 8-man practice squad.
Sorry, I know it's preseason, but 4 turnovers and 3 personal fouls, and you still win by 11 points. How do you react to the overall game?
Well, that's what you have to do. You can't beat yourself, and you got to take a look at the personal fouls. You got to eliminate them, and that's one of the reasons why you have preseason, to eliminate those silly mistakes. And we'll emphasize them, we'll talk about them, and hopefully next week, we won't have quite as many. But when you're able to overcome some of those mistakes, that means a lot of people are playing hard and playing together. But like you mentioned, that's way too many mistakes.
Hey, Mike, with Dr. Andrews' evaluation of Robert today or in the last couple of days, did he get his hands on him? Did he just watch him warm up? What exactly did he do there? Well,
he watched him out in the field. Then he brought him in and obviously checked him out. It's the first time that he's checked Robert, since we went to training camp when he approved that he could practice. But he felt very good about, his progress. But again, he's going to come back in a couple of weeks after our preseason's over, reevaluate him again. And then he'll give us, the yay or nay. But right now he feels that his progress has been good, and he's hoping that there's no setbacks, as well as ourselves.
Is there a date, Mike, where you're all huddled together and you'll decide when that happens?
Well, after the Tampa game, he's going to be with us, and he's going to give us an idea how he feels about him at that time. But he's still got a couple more weeks of practice, and we'll go through this week. We still have a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The following week, we have same thing. We got 3-day preparation with a Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday before we play on Thursday. And then he'll evaluate him after the game, and he'll tell us where he's at. And he'll do the same thing that he did today. I'm sure he'll look at him work out, see if his knees and, where he thinks it should be, and then let us know what he believes is right, along with the other doctors. We've got Dr. Nunziato, and obviously they will confer, and give us, what they think.
Mike, Dan Snyder was quoted by ESPN as saying that the decision on Robert's status for the opener would be Dr. Andrews and Dr. Andrews alone. Is that your view of how that decision will be made?
Well, if Dr. Andrews felt that his knee wasn't ready, we surely wouldn't play him. I don't know, what the communication was, or I hate to make a comment on what hearsay is. I'm not exactly sure what was said, but we surely wouldn't play him if he didn't feel that it was in the best interest of Robert and this organization to play him.
What about the other scenario if Dr. Andrews clears him? Would there be another level of clearance from you, or would that be the final word?
Well, like I said, that we're hoping there's no setback. He's been doing great. And there's no reason to have a setback, but you never know. We're going to have 2 more weeks of practice, and we're going to put him through situations like we've been doing over the last 3.5 weeks, and keep our fingers crossed that there isn't a setback, and if there isn't, he should be ready for Philly.
Mike, of the injuries that you didn't go into detail about, Robinson, Hankerson, Keelan Williams, Chris Thompson, are you concerned that any of those are significant?
No, I don't think that's too bad. I think Aldrich was a low thigh bruise, and Hank, I don't think, was just a strain. He said he felt pretty good after the game, according to the trainers. But you never know for sure. 24 hours, 48 hours, it can change, just like it did with Thomas. So you never really do know. But I'm just going to give you an idea of what they told me.
Mike, I know this is jumping ahead, but for Saturday, I mean, with obviously Kirk pretty much done for the preseason and Robert out, do you go half and half on Rex and Pat, or do you kind of go Rex?
I think you answered your own question. You are jumping ahead. I can't make that statement at this time. That was like a softball pitch,
Anything else, gang? Anything else? Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks.
Barry Cofield, folks.
It's going to be asked of me.
Kirk Cousins will be in his locker. Kirk Cousins will be in his locker. Good, Barry. Raise your hand if you want a question.
Anyone else?
I got some direct questions. After this, no one else at the podium.
Barry, can you tell us how the injury occurred and what exactly the injury is?
I'm not really sure what happened. I was trying to tackle Roethlisberger, and I keep my fingers taped up, so I'm not really positive how it happened. I don't know if I hit the ground or got stepped on or a helmet. But I was telling the guys I broke the same bone in my other hand in 8th grade and came back and played great in middle school football. So I'm not too worried about it. I think I should be able to bounce back with a little tape and TLC.
Barry, speaking of bouncing back, you guys had a tough game against the run last week. First 6 plays, Steelers ran the ball, almost got nothing. You feel like you guys maybe got that corrected?
Yeah, I mean, it's a work in progress. We still gave up a couple runs today that we shouldn't have, just people not fitting correctly. But a lot of times that happens when the playbook is, more open in the preseason. You're not zeroing in with a game plan, and you have a lot of guys playing at different spots and coming in and out. I mean, there's a lot of excuses, but we got to tighten up our run defense, and if we continue to pressure the quarterback, I think we'll be happy.
You mentioned, Barry, that you broke the same bone in the other hand in 8th grade. What bone was it? Do you know what it was?
Oh, man, I'm not a doctor. It's just in the hand. I mean, they said it was a pretty clean break, no surgery needed or anything like that. So I'm optimistic.
You probably then, it's a little, like Russ, it's a little far ahead, but you probably would assume the next 2 games are going to be out for you.
I do not know. Hopefully we can tape it up. I can definitely get some work in practice, and we'll see what the coach's plan is. But obviously the main goal, the most important game is Philly, and I'd be surprised and disappointed if I wasn't able to be out there for that one.
You have Chris and Ron behind you. How have you seen them both develop these past 6 weeks?
They both played well in the first game. Coach was pleased with them. The tape looked good. Chris just bounced back from his knee injury, better than we could have hoped for. So, we got a lot of depth. We've already taken some losses up front, but Coach has worked tirelessly with everybody. We get to practice against our offense, which is a tall order for our D line with our scheme. So we feel like we can compete with those guys. We can compete with anybody, and so far I think we've been pretty solid.
Anyone else besides that? Anyone else? Barry, you good? Thanks.
Thank you.